And our next speaker for a short session is Professor Dr. Max von Grafenstein from the Einstein Center Digital Future, who will dive into developing more informative and trustful consent designs through empirical methods. I can see him on my screen, so welcome, Mr. Grafenstein, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk here, to announce our project here on such a broad scale. I have only 10 minutes here. I thought it might be good maybe to reserve a couple of minutes later for a Q&A. If at all, I can also delve into details on my own, of course, so I won't let you get lost in the void. So best come straight to the point. I share my screen. Where we are. Here it is. Oops. So here we are. We are an interdisciplinary research collaboration now between the Einstein Center Digital Future, which has already been mentioned, but also the University of the Arts based in Berlin, and also this other interdisciplinary research Internet Institute, the Institute for Internet and Society, and the academic spin-off Law and Innovation. And we have been running a couple of research projects in the last 6 years where we have been researching how to design consent banners in a way so that end users can really understand what they are actually consenting to. And we think that we have found a solution, kind of a solution, or let's say at least an empirically validated way toward such a solution. And this is why we are now developing a universal standard for such a more effective consent banner. So the idea is that this universal standard is, if everything works out, is easily integrable into websites or other online services. And of course, also integrable into already existing platforms such as consent management platforms or European data spaces. And an important part is of the standard, as you can already see, are consent agents, which end users can use in order to preset their consents once in advance. So this is very important from an end user perspective, because in order to counter consent fatigue, which is caused by clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking 50, 100 times a day consent banners away. And through these consent agents, they can handle this in advance. So the mechanism we built there works in a way that there is still the opportunity for end users to adapt their presettings to the circumstances of the specific website. So if the end user thinks the website is particularly trustful, they can still give consent, right? Even if they had denied it in the beginning, or vice versa. If they are very open and affirmed their consent in the beginning, they can still say on a specific website, this is actually not what I want. But what is important in this mechanism is that they don't have to actively click it away anymore after a certain period of time. So we call this the timeout mechanism. Later on, we will also define in this standard further interlaces. Especially, we will define an interlace to so-called privacy dashboards, where end users can then much more easily than before exercise their data subject rights, so if they wish. And from the industry, you may ask now, of course, so hey, did Mr. von Grafenstein, didn't he mention that these consent banners, this universal standard, will not only be profitable or very good for end users, but also for the business? So how does he come to this daunting claim? And the reason for this is actually that we have reasons to assume, empirical reasons to assume, that this standard will not send consent rates through the floor. So how do we come to this conclusion or to this assumption? Well, the reason is that we have in the last 6 years developed empirical methods in order to measure not only qualitatively, but even quantitatively via A/B tests, 3 things. Which design, so we can take different study groups, and in each study group we test another design, right? So, and we can ask 3 questions, even more, but I just sum it up here. Which design informs the data subjects best, especially about their benefits and risks of a respective purpose to which they are asked to consent? So they can understand much better the consequences of giving their consent. So this is the first question we can measure. The second is, how does this impact the trust of the data subjects into the website or another service they are just using? And the third question is then, and how is this associated to the consent rate? And here comes, so the empirical data we have so far, and we are now analyzing and also publishing in a couple of weeks or months, depending on the review process, are very interesting because they show us actually that there is indeed a possibility to design consent banners and consent mechanisms in a way which really do better inform data subjects about the benefits and risks. So they are really enabled to at least differentiate between the different purposes they are asked to consent to, what they aren't able today. Yeah. And we can also see that depending on the privacy-friendly technology that website providers or other service providers are using in order to achieve one or another purpose, so this has a great impact on the trust that data subjects have in consenting to one or the other purpose. And this then again can, and we can measure this, has an impact on the consent rate, of course, depending on the purpose. But we can even measure that for certain purposes, there is even a significantly increase in the consent rate. Yeah? So we are still, it's an ongoing process, and we are still trying to improve the consent banners even better and the consent mechanisms, but we are on a very clear path to achieve this. And this is actually already brings us to the point because we are now researching this methodologically since 6 years, and we are now at a point that we start our testing period together with industry partners in order to test the integration of our consent banners into their systems at the end of this year. And we think that spring next year, we will then also be able, if everything works according to our plan, to publish our first minimum viable product. And this is actually also the reason of this short talk here, because, of course, anyone who is interested in participating in our industry tests or also end user tests, or everybody who should be in this round here interested in contributing to the standard we are currently writing and then also publishing, or everybody who is just interested in getting updates about the further process is, of course, warmly invited to come to us. My colleague from Bitkom is right now putting in the contact form, also the URL. It's www.consenter.eu/Raute get updated. So everybody is invited to contribute or even to participate as a tester, and we would be very happy to come back to you with further information in the next weeks and months. So this is already everything. We have reserved a couple of minutes for questions. I will stop sharing and hope that I can answer any of them, or some of them at least.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Professor Grafenstein. So far, we haven't got any questions. I think so. Just wait 1 second if maybe some questions are coming in.
The question is this a good sign or a bad sign? So
I think it's a good sign.
Yeah, you mean so everybody will be embracing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
No, perfect, I think.
Maybe I can tie into, if you don't have a question, I can tie into it because actually...
Yeah, you definitely can, yeah.
Yeah, the panel before has already discussed that there is a movement in the industry toward more privacy enhancing technologies. And I think we can make there a difference between the B2B sector and the B2C sector. And I think what is clearer so far that if I'm a data processor and I sell my products, advertising services, for example, to my customer who is a controller, and I tell him, hey, with my technology, you apply better to the GDPR, this is already now getting more and more a competitive advantage. But what has been lacking so far is this impact on the consumer market. And the big reason for this is, we have studies who say, I'm even willing to pay more for a privacy-friendly technology, but if we look at how the people really act, there is a huge difference between what people say, pretending or just saying, hey, privacy is very, very important to me. But if we look at how they behave, there is little reaction, actually. Of course, we have this minority of people who really try hard to protect their privacy. I say so because it's hard. And I think the mechanism, which is really lacking here, to also make that competitive advantage work on the consumer market is to communicate the privacy level. And so far, consent banner and all the information you get doesn't communicate how privacy friendly a certain technology is. And this is, I think, the most important contribution of the technologies or standard we are developing there, because we are able to legally assess and also to empirically validate and to check that back against the experts' opinions, of course, of the data protection authorities, of the industry, etc., that our legal assessment is then correct and shared by everybody who is important to communicate that properly in a way to the consumer that they can really make a difference. Okay, this website provider has a more privacy-friendly technology than the other one. And then we can even measure that this has an impact on the consent rate. Yeah, just to delve a little bit deeper again there to make it clearer.
Yeah, that definitely made it even more clear. Thank you very much. So still no questions, I think. Everyone is happy. So thank you once again.
Well, hungry.
Hungry, yeah, probably hungry. So yeah. Thank you very much for giving us this short presentation. And now we will take a short break as we have a slight delay. We will be back at 1 p.m. and then we will hear a keynote from Thomas Zerdig from the European Data Protection Supervisor. So I hope to see you back at 1 p.m.